Chapter 603, Minute Jia Raises a Man. Auntie, I've instructed the kitchen to prepare some tonics for you and sister, Su Yingxue said with a sweet smile. After you've used them, you should rest early. Wen could sense that Su Yingxue wanted to speak to Su Han alone, so she took Yihan away and asked her to bring Su Han's portion over later. The candlelight in the room flickered, and the light emitted by the luminous pearl became even gentler. Sitting beside Su Han, Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. Sister mentioned before that Minute Jia's expenses are huge, and you were suspicious. Did you notice anything? Su Han nodded. Minute Jia has a lot of expenses every month. Last year, she took out 10,000 taels of silver a month. I asked her how she used it, but she didn't answer. When one questioned her again, she started to lose her temper and even complained to her mother. One had no choice but to give it to her, but one suspect she gave all the money to someone else. Someone else? Su Yingxue's curiosity was piqued. She knew that Su Han must have secretly sent someone to investigate Minute Jia. Su Han said, a man often appears in her courtyard. I'm afraid their relationship is not simple. Minute Jia meets a man in private and even gives him money to support him. Su Yingxue was taken aback. It was understandable that Minute Jia would have secret meetings with a man as an adult, but what kind of man would make her willingly pay to support him? And the amount was so huge. A year's worth was 100,000 taels. What kind of man could catch Minute Jia's eye? He must be quite handsome, Su Yingxue chuckled. When Minute Jia saw Ziwei, her eyes lit up. It was obvious how important his appearance was to her. That man is very cautious and has strong martial arts skills. My men were discovered once, so one had them watch him from afar. But no matter what, they didn't see the man's face clearly, nor did they know his background. Su Han frowned. She had a sharp mind and was born in the Marquise manner, so her thinking was much more agile than that of ordinary women. There were very few things that she couldn't find out. She had always been puzzled by the man who had secret meetings with Minute Jia. But now, she had a question she needed to bring up to Su Yingxue. Yingxue, among the people that Minute Jia sent to assassinate me, I feel like there's an expert that I'm familiar with. Sister, did you see his face? Su Yingxue asked. Su Han's expression turned serious. I didn't see him clearly, but one think he looks like someone. Who? Su Jinxian. Su Jinxian? Su Yingxue's eyes widened. Su Han's words reminded her of the black figure she saw in Minute Jia's courtyard that day. It coincided with Ziwei's figure. Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. Su Jinxian is a cautious person, much more alert than Su Yuro. Chapter 604, touching her round belly. Su Han's eyes were filled with gratitude as she drifted off to sleep peacefully. What she needed to do now was to focus on recovering her health. The next day, just as Su Yingxue finished dealing with the household affairs, Yihan came to inform her, Miss, the regional prince's mansion has sent Miss Han's dowry and 100,000 taels of silver. Su Yingxue's lips curled up. Their actions are very swift. She hurried to the courtyard where Wen and Su Dingwei were staying. Wen had already checked with Yihan, and all of Su Han's dowry was there. Even the family jade bracelet that Su Han said had been stolen by Minute Jia and returned by Wen was there, along with other boxes piled up in half the courtyard, neatly stacked with 100,000 taels of silver. Chu Xiaoshan's face darkened upon seeing Su Yingxue, but he had no choice but to address her. Su Yingxue, this is what Haina wanted. I've already sent it all as compensation for her. When will you allow her to return to my residence with me? Sister is recuperating. With her injuries, she cannot move or work. Your Highness should be aware of this, correct? Su Yingxue replied casually. Then you should at least let me see her. Chu Xiaotian couldn't help but look anxious. The longer Su Han stayed away from him, the more uncomfortable he felt, longing to hold her in his arms as soon as possible. I'm sorry, sister doesn't want to see you. Your Highness, please leave, Su Yingxue said with a smile, once again escorting Chu Xiaotian out of the manor. She then went to the medicine hut to inform Su Han of the news and brought along the family jade bracelet. Su Han placed the bracelet back on her wrist, looking pleased. I thought one would never get this back. Sister, This is only a small portion of what you can reclaim. What they owe you must be repaid one by one. Su Yingxu's lips curled sharply. Naturally, Chu Xiaotian was not satisfied with being chased away. Fortunately, Chu Changye was helping him. Liang Jin's investigation progress was slow, encountering obstacles along the way. Chu Changye had always thought that this would make Su Yingxue anxious, and she would try to help Su Han leave the regional prince's mansion as soon as possible. There would always be a flaw to follow. However, on the contrary, not only was Su Yingxue not anxious, she was so calm that he couldn't understand it. On the day Chu Changye was confused by Su Yingxue's behavior, she was once again enjoying delicacies at the 9th prince's mansion. Chu Yihan fed her mouthful by mouthful. Su Yingxue touched her gradually rounding belly, dodging Chu Yihan's chopsticks. Enough, Your Highness. If you keep feeding me, I'll become a ball. Chu Yihan pinched her face, not entirely satisfied. Your body is still so slender. I'll find another world-renowned chef to nourish you. Su Yingxue licked the oil from her lips. Your Highness, please spare me. If she gained weight, how would he be able to carry her in the future? Of course, Su Yingxue didn't dare to utter such embarrassing words. Chu Yihan dragged her out for a walk in the garden, and they began discussing serious matters. Have the shadow guards found Su Jinxuan's hiding place? Chu Yihan nodded. You can go see him tomorrow, but 111 have the shadow guards protect you. You don't have to worry about them leaking any information. I've never worried about Your Highness people. Once we find Su Jinxian, my sister's case will be much easier to solve, Su Yingxue said, placing her hand on her bloated stomach. She had waited for a few days without acting quickly, wanting to give Su Han time to recover so that she could seek justice for herself in court. Chapter 605. Force Su Jinxian out. Secondly, she needed to apprehend Su Jinxian, the pivotal figure. Everything Minute Jia had done must be connected to him. Chu Yihan agreed and supported her actions. The shadow guards were under her command. Su Yingxue touched the cold jade around her neck and smiled brightly. Having Your Highness' favor is indeed wonderful. It saved her a lot of effort. Every time Chu Yihan saw her smile, he would unconsciously curl his lips. However, this time, not only did Su Yingxue not see him smile, but his gaze became even more solemn. Su Yingxue raised her hand and gently caressed Chu Yihan's face. His delicate features were outlined with every stroke, and he was as deep and charming as ever. Is there anything bothering Your Highness? He looked depressed. Chu Yihan pulled her into his arms and pressed her head against his chest. His voice was low as he said, I thought that once old General Su returned, I would be able to propose marriage to him and make you my wife. However, I haven't been able to broach the subject with him yet. Su Yingxue's eyebrows twitched. So it was because of this. Can we wait until sister's matters are resolved? Su Yingxue's voice was very soft as she gently patted Chu Yihan's back. Chu Yihan said in a low voice, okay. However, the wait was too unbearable. Every day felt like a year. His desire to marry her grew stronger every day, and he could not control it. Su Yingxue didn't dare to look up at Chu Yihan's expression. She started to worry about her grandfather's attitude when she mentioned this. She did not dare to mention it to her grandfather several times because she could sense his disapproval and dislike. She could understand how much her grandfather loved her, and even more so, how much Chu Yihan loved her. However, these two forces of love came from different directions. She was placed in the middle and burned, making her not know what to do for a moment. Outside the city, at the graves of Liu Shulan and Su Yuro, Su Yingxue had been waiting there since early in the morning. When Su Jinxian came over with the offerings and saw Su Yingxue, it was already too late for him to escape. He could sense that there were experts all around him. It would be difficult for him to escape. He could only walk before Su Yingxue and properly place the offerings. Then, he looked up at Su Yingxue. Why did you come to look for me? Su Yingxue's lips curled into a smile. She looked at Su Jinxian with a scrutinizing gaze. To be honest, she had never looked at Su Jinxian carefully in her previous life. In her previous life, because she was too stupid before Su Jinxian could do anything, Liu Shulan and Su Yuro had already killed her. In this life, When she first met Su Jinxian, he easily let her tie him up. Chapter 606, Su Hao did not send another letter. I want to praise you when I see you. Su Yingxue raised her foot and stepped on Liu Shulan's tombstone. It was as if she could not sense Su Jinxuan's anger at all. You were tied up by me during the competition at the Wangjiang Tower. You had already noticed that you were not a match for my uninjured brother, so you naturally surrendered. Even if someone asked about it later, he could frame her for it. This was a smart move. As for Liu Shulan and Su Yuro, each of them was more stupid than the other. He didn't make a move because he knew that he was alone and weak. If he appeared rashly, he would only get himself involved. Therefore, he had been keeping a low profile. If it weren't for Su Han's glance before, they would still be in the dark. Su Jinxuan's gaze moved away from the tombstone, and a smile appeared on his thin face. Sister, you must be joking. I'm just a bastard son without any status. How would one dare to fight with brother for the position of general? I still have some self-awareness. Not only do you have self-awareness, but you're also very smart. You're so smart that one can't find your flaws. What should one do? Su Yingxue tilted her head and sighed. She seemed helpless. Su Jinxuan's cold gaze fell on Su Yingxu's feet. She changed her foot to the tombstone as if she wanted to provoke him. Hair. His lips curled into a mocking smile. There were many people with strong martial arts skills around him. If they wanted to fight, he would not be able to gain the upper hand. At this moment, he could only deal with Su Yingxue properly. I don't know what flaw sister wants. Jinxian will do my best to satisfy sister. Su Yingxue couldn't help but look at Su Jinxian in a new light. You still call me sister, so one came to inform you. If you have time, go back to the Marquise Manor to pay your respects to grandfather. After all, you're a member of the Su family. You can't always wander around without a name and rely on others to support you, right? After Su Yingxue finished speaking, she smiled and left. She was certain that Su Jinxian would return to visit her grandfather. With his current power, he had no other choice. Even if he wanted to have another choice, she would let the shadow guards force him into a corner. When Su Yingxue returned to Jiangdu City, she went to visit Wu Jinyang and told her about Su Jinxuan's return. She would have to trouble her to let Minute Jiao know. Wu Jinyang immediately sent someone to do it. However, Su Yingxue saw that she was in a daze and asked with concern, Sister-in-law, are you feeling unwell? Let me take your pulse. As she spoke, she wanted to hold Wu Jinyang's hand, but Wu Jinyang shook her head. I'm fine. One just really wanted to ask. Yingxue, has your brother written to you recently? She suddenly exerted force, and Su Yingxue could feel her nervousness and urgency. Su Yingxue thought about it. When her grandfather had just returned, Su Hao had sent a letter. Her grandfather and she had written a letter to Su Hao together. Yes, why? Sister-in-law, didn't you receive brother's letter? She replied. Previously, because Su Hao had sent letters to Wu Jinyang very frequently, he had used different messengers, so they received the letters at different times. Su Yingxue looked at Wu Jinyang and frowned slightly. Sister-in-law, did something happen? Wu Jin's tightly held breath relaxed, like a body without a soul. Ever since that letter I brought to the Marquise Manor, one have never received any more letters from him. I thought that he was busy with work, but one have sent him letters for 2 consecutive months, and there has been no reply at all. Wanna gift the story? Try one. Comment vote send gift 0 comment 2 left chapter 607, as if they were not born from the same mother. Wu Jinyang's gloomy expression made one's heart ache. Su Yingxue patted her back and comforted her. I'll send someone to Bamboo Leaf Pass to take a look. Sister, don't worry. Brother won't let you down. Maybe he's too busy. After Su Yingxue said that, Wu Jinyang felt much more relieved. Then before you send someone to leave, I'll take some things. You can get him to bring them to your brother. All right. Su Yingxue returned from Wu Jinyang's place and placed this matter firmly in her heart. When she returned, she had already decided on a candidate. Su Jinxian returned to the Marquise Manor in the afternoon to visit his grandfather. The corners of Su Yingxue's mouth curled up as she went to the front hall. Su Qingji, Su Dingheng, and Su Jinxian were all there. Su Jinxian was very polite. When he saw Su Yingxue, he immediately greeted her. Greetings, sister. Yes. Su Yingxue nodded lightly. Both of their eyes were calm. The scene was so harmonious that Su Dingheng felt uncomfortable all over. However, when he saw Su Jinxian, he missed him and felt guilty. He had to beg Su Yingxue. Yingxue, now that father is back, your brother is back too. You see, he is still a descendant of our Su family. We can't let him wander outside, right? Su Yingxue replied, yes, one can't. Su Dingheng was excited. Then can you let him enter the family tree and return to the Marquise Manor to live? Su Yingxue was silent. Su Dingheng was making things difficult for her by asking her such a question in front of Su Qingji. Su Qingji glared at Su Dingheng. I'm not dead yet. Why are you so anxious about the genealogy? One don't dare. Su Dingheng immediately shrunk like a quail. When Su Jinxian heard this, he stood up very sensibly. Jinxian only came back today to visit grandfather and father. One don't have any other thoughts. Jinxian will leave now and won't cause trouble for the Marquise Manor. Chapter 607. As if they were not born from the same mother. Wu Jinyan's gloomy expression made one's heart ache. Su Yingxue patted her back and comforted her. I'll send someone to Bamboo Leaf Pass to take a look. Sister, don't worry. Brother won't let you down. Maybe he's too busy. After Su Yingxue said that, Wu Jinyang felt much more relieved. Then before you send someone to leave, I'll take some things. You can get him to bring them to your brother. All right. Su Yingxue returned from Wu Jinyan's place and placed this matter firmly in her heart. When she returned, she had already decided on a candidate. Su Jinxian returned to the Marquise Manor in the afternoon to visit his grandfather. The corners of Su Yingxu's mouth curled up as she went to the front hall. Su Qingji, Su Dingheng, and Su Jinxian were all there. Su Jinxian was very polite. When he saw Su Yingxue, he immediately greeted her. Greetings, sister. Yes. Su Yingxue nodded lightly. Both of their eyes were calm. The scene was so harmonious that Su Dingheng felt uncomfortable all over. However, when he saw Su Jinxian, he missed him and felt guilty. He had to beg Su Yingxue. Yingxue, now that father is back, your brother is back too. You see, he is still a descendant of our Su family. We can't let him wander outside, right? Su Yingxue replied, yes, I can't. Su Dingheng was excited. Then can you let him enter the family tree and return to the Marquise Manor to live? Su Yingxue was silent. Su Dingheng was making things difficult for her by asking her such a question in front of Su Qingji. Su Qingji glared at Su Dingheng. I'm not dead yet. Why are you so anxious about the genealogy? I don't dare. Su Dingheng immediately shrunk like a quail. When Su Jinxian heard this, he stood up very sensibly. Jinxian only came back today to visit grandfather and father. I don't have any other thoughts. Jinxian will leave now and won't cause trouble for the Marquise Manor. Su Jinxian stood up and was about to leave. Su Yingxue had to admit that Su Jinxian would retreat to advance. His brain was much better than Su Yuris. It was as if the two of them were not born in the same mother's womb. Wait. Su Yingxue stopped him. Since you're back, there's no reason for you to leave. After all, your surname is Su, so there's no place for you in the Marquise Manor. As for whether or not you'll be included in the genealogy, I'll have to ask grandfather to make the decision. Surprise flashed in Su Qingji's eyes. Su Yingxue asking Su Jinxian to stay was something that he had not expected. He pondered for a moment. You can stay here for now, but we can talk about the matter of entering the genealogy in the future. Okay, Dad. Thank you. Su Dingheng's face was full of gratification, and he almost jumped up in front of Su Qingji. Su Qingji didn't want to look at him at all. He snorted coldly. If you want to thank someone, thank Yingxue. He would not let Su Jinxian stay. Back then, he had promised Long Shuli that he would not allow any nondescript person to enter the Marquise Manor and hurt Su Yingxue and Su Hao. Su Yuro was secretly brought back to the manor by Su Dingheng to be raised. After that, she had fawned over Su Yingxue, which was why she was not thrown out by him. Now, he was only respecting Su Yingxue's decision. Su Jinxian stayed in the marquisdom, and all the accommodation and other matters were naturally arranged by Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue thought that there would only be a commotion tomorrow, but she did not expect that at night, Minute Jia would be carried and barged into the Marquise manor. At that time, she was accompanying Su Han in the medicine hut. When Zi Wei came to tell Su Han's delicate eyes showed a hint of understanding. You asked Su Jinxian to stay because you were waiting for Minute Jia? Chapter 608, Su Yingxue's design. Su Yingxue smiled. Sister is smart. Minute Jia is willing to spend so much money to support Su Jinxian, so she must have deep feelings for him. The methods she used to harm you are not something that her brain could come up with. Su Han also thought of this. Even so, Su Jinxian is a very cautious person. If he wants to get rid of Minute Jia, it won't be difficult. I can't catch Su Jinxuan's fault for now, but I want to get rid of the regional prince's mansion once and for all for my sister. Su Yingxue's eyes were sharp. She even asked Su Han to write 2 letters to her. Su Han didn't ask her what they were for. She wrote them according to her instructions and handed them to her. After Su Yingxue left, Yihan was extremely worried. Miss, these 2 letters are for your highness. Shouldn't Miss ask Miss Yingxue what to do? Su Han shook her head. She drank the medicine that Yihan brought her, and her gentle voice was firm. Yingxue always knows her limits. Everything she does is for me, and one will never doubt her. She believed in her judgment and trusted Su Yingxue even more. Su Yingxue stood outside Su Jinxuan's courtyard and looked around. Minute Jia was carried away while crying. Su Jinxian would scold her for coming here so rashly. Coincidentally, she had sent someone to go back to the regional prince's mansion with Minute Jia to deliver one of Su Han's letters to Chu Xiaotian. Chu Xiaotian read the letter and missed Su Han. He couldn't sleep for the whole night. He went to urge Chu Changye to finish Liang Jin's investigation as soon as possible so that he could bring Su Han back. Chu Changye felt that there was a trap in this matter. It might be Su Yingxue's scheme. However, due to Chu Xiaoshan's urgency, he could only release some witnesses and let Liang Jin open a court trial. This time, Minute Jia was there too. She and some servants of the prince's mansion had confessed that they didn't mistreat Su Han, but they were willing to apologize to her and ask her to go back to the regional prince's mansion. Liang Jin couldn't prove that Su Han was abused by Minute Jia in the regional prince's mansion, and he had to summon Madame Sheng again tomorrow. Liang Jin's expression darkened. When he looked at Su Yingxue, he was afraid that she would be disappointed. However, Su Yingxue's face remained calm. She even turned around and said to Su Jinxian, if that's the case, Sister Han will be disappointed. Su Jinxian smiled. Sister, you won't disappoint her. Is that so? Brother, you think too highly of me. Su Yingxue patted Su Jinxuan's shoulder. To outsiders, the siblings seemed to have a good relationship. However, Minute Jia's eyes were red with anger. Su Yingxue, what right do you have to hit Jinxian? Jinxian was the man she loved. She couldn't even bear to touch him, but Su Yingxue treated him like this. And in front of her, Chu Xiaotian was anxious to think of a solution with Chu Changye, so he did not stay behind to watch over Minute Jia. Su Yingxue and Su Jinxian came out together and saw that Minute Jia was still waiting at the entrance of the capital prefecture. Su Yingxue smiled at Su Jinxian and said, Brother, it seems that someone is waiting for you. Why don't one go back first and let the 2 of you talk? Sister must be joking. I don't have much of a relationship with her. Su Jinxuan's expression was indifferent. In order not to let Su Yingxue have a hold on him, he immediately left. He did not care about Minute Jia's expectant gaze or how disappointed she was. Minute Jia had been waiting for Su Jinxian for so long, but not only did he not come to see her, he did not even bother to look at her. Minute Jia immediately covered her face and cried. Chapter 609, What should he do next? Su Yingxue approached Minute Jia, looking down at her with a hint of sympathy in her eyes. My younger brother didn't mean to ignore you, County Lord. After all, there are so many people outside, and the nature of your relationship with him is unclear. You may not care about your reputation, but what if his reputation is tarnished? Minute Jia gritted her teeth in anger. Su Yingxue, you. Was it you? You forced Jinxuan. Minute Jia accused. Otherwise, he wouldn't treat me like this. He used to be very good to me. I didn't force him. It's just that he's currently staying in the Marquise Manor and everything is under my control, Su Yingxue said casually, causing Minute Jia's heart to skip a beat. She instantly began to worry about Su Jinxuan and forgot all about his scolding last night. Su Yingxue believed that the few times she had beaten her up and her leg were enough to make her worry about Su Jinxuan. As expected, Minute Jia also began to suffer from insomnia. In Su Yingxue's room, Yihan listened to the report from the shadow guards with her. He looked up at Su Yingxue. By forcing Su Jinxuan to return to the Marquise Manor, you are causing the people of the regional prince's mansion to panic. Su Yingxue supported her chin with her hand and nodded. If Su Jinxuan stays in the Marquise Manor, Minute Jia will think that I have control over the man she loves. Su Jinxuan is a smart person. He won't meet Minute Jia at a time like this. He will only think that Minute Jia is a hindrance and prevent himself from being dragged down by her. So, as long as Su Jinxuan doesn't appear for a few days, Minute Jia will panic. The more flustered she was, the more she could make her suffer a crushing defeat. Su Yingxue's thoughts and calculations were exquisite. After a series of operations, she could use a single point to take down the entire regional prince's mansion. Yihan pulled Su Yingxue into his arms and rubbed her little head. My little dumpling is impressive. Your Highness has already praised me like this, so one believe it. Su Yingxue was smug. It was fine if others praised her. She was not as good as Yihan. He had seen so many storms and powerful figures, but he felt the same way. She felt very comfortable. After Su Han's affair is settled, one will visit you again. Yihan lowered his head and pecked Su Yingxue on the cheek. A trace of panic flashed across Su Yingxue's eyes. Your Highness, you don't have to be so anxious. There's still a lot of work to be done. Moreover, elder sister has just broken off her ties with regional prince, and you proposing marriage to me will inevitably cause embarrassment for the Marquise Manor. Yihan's handsome brows furrowed. It wasn't the first time he noticed it. Su Yingxue was trying to stop him. He tightened his grip on Su Yingxue's wrist. Are you nervous? What are you nervous about? No. Su Yingxue's eyes widened. Yihan had almost discovered her. Yihan's gaze became sharper. In her panic, Su Yingxue hugged his neck and kissed his lips, forcefully entangling them. When it came to kissing, she had never been the one to take the initiative. Now that she was forced to take the initiative, she didn't know what to do next. As she pressed her lips against Yihan's and Su Yingxue's temperatures. What should I do? What should I do next? Open your mouth. Penetrate. Suck. Oh, Su Yingxue's mind was in a knot. She was looking forward to Yihan's reaction, but when he turned the tables, Yihan remained unmoved. It was steady. It was a stable batch. Su Yingxue was crying in her heart. The next time she kissed Yihan, she would ask Chu Jinling to bring her 8 or 10 picture albums so that she could familiarize herself with him. Chapter 610. People, nothing special. Just as she hadn't made a reaction yet, Yihan's husky and seductive voice startled her awake. One didn't expect you to like this. Like what? Su Yingxue's heart was as confused as her brain. In your manner, having an affair. Su Yingxue was confused by his words. How was this an affair? Su Yingxue's mind cleared up a bit, and she realized that this wasn't an affair. It was late at night, and no one knew that Yihan had come to her place and been intimate with her. She wasn't cheating, was she? Su Yingxue felt that this was a more legitimate reason, so she said to Yihan righteously, "That's right. I just like to cheat. Your Highness, if you don't like it, well, you have to like it. Anyway, he spoiled her." Yihan's eyes sparkled with amusement. All right. He liked it when she was like this, proud of herself because he treated her well. Chu Yihan's woman had to be pampered to the point of being lawless. He would do whatever she, Su Yingxue, wanted to do. He wrapped his arms around Su Yingxue's waist and whispered into her ear, "Don't worry about Su Han. I've already informed the imperial family about it. Once Liang Jin closes the case, the imperial family will agree to let Chu Xiaotian separate from her and return her freedom." Su Yingxu's eyes flashed with amazement. "Your Highness, you're amazing." The most challenging part of Su Han and Chu Xiaoshan's feud wasn't the case itself, but the attitude of the imperial family. After all, Chu Xiaotian was a member of the imperial family, and Su Han was his official wife registered in the imperial family's genealogy. Removing his name from the list wouldn't be easy. However, Chu Yihan had managed to settle this matter. Su Yingxue smiled in front of him, her eyes as pure as a child's. Chu Yihan's heart warmed as he recalled the image of the little dumpling who had touched his face and said she wanted to marry him 13 years ago. Liang Jin gathered everyone and officially started the trial. On the day they planned to close the case, the entire Marquise Manor mobilized. Since Su Han could walk, Su Yingxue ordered Su Miaoyan to stay by her side. "You must take good care of Sister Han. If anything happens to her, I'll deduct your rose cake," Su Yingxue reminded her. Su Miaoyan's long hair swayed as she winked at her. "No. I'll follow Sister Han to the toilet. I won't give you a chance to deduct my rations." Su Yingxue pinched her nose and walked to Su Han's side. Today, the capital prefecture was packed with people. Su Yingxue felt that someone was observing her. She turned around and glanced at the crowd. Quite a few people were looking at her. Su Yingxue sighed with relief. Since she was the one in charge of this matter, it was normal for people in the crowd to look at her. Hence, she didn't pay much attention to it. In the crowd, a man was sitting in a wheelchair. He looked away from Su Yingxue indifferently. "Let's go. Young master, aren't you going to take a look?" Noble Consort said that this genius Dr. Su is very powerful and wants you to interact more with her. The servant beside him reminded him. Half of the man's face was covered by the crowd, but his thin lips and jaw were exposed, revealing his extraordinary beauty. It wasn't difficult to imagine that he was an extremely handsome man. He replied lackadaisically, "The noble consort only wants to cure my illness. There's nothing special about people." "All right, young master, let's go back." The group of people came without any sense of presence and disappeared without any sense of presence. No one noticed. Chapter 611, Overturn the Testimony. Start over. The personnel from the regional prince's mansion pushed aside the surrounding crowd before they were able to enter the capital prefecture. Because of Liang Jin's customs, trials were always conducted openly without concealment, subject to public oversight. Therefore, even though they felt their private matters should not be aired publicly, they had no choice at this moment. In the eyes of the commoners, the people from the regional prince's mansion were like rats crossing the street, being scolded and beaten. Especially the commoners who had been favored by Su Han when she was the regional princess. They had prepared eggs and rotten vegetables and threw them at Chu Xiaotian and Minute Jia. As a result, the moment Minute Jia and Chu Xiaotian entered the capital prefecture, they had to change their clothes before going to court. In the hall, Liang Jin and Chu Chengye sat side by side. Liang Jin announced loudly to the crowd, "The case between Miss Su and Yong'an County's prince is a case of the imperial family. Therefore, I will be hearing it together with the 7th prince, who is temporarily acting as the Minister of Justice." "Yes, Lord." Everyone nodded slightly. Liang Jin first read out the results of Minute Jia's trial. However, before he could finish reading, a servant in the regional prince's mansion said, "Lord, the testimony I gave last time was wrong. Can you please give me a chance to testify again?" Liang Jin frowned. "Preposterous. Do you know that perjury in court is against the law? Lord is wise. I'm only afraid of the regional prince's mansion's prestige." After the regional princess left the prince's mansion, everything in the prince's mansion was controlled by Madam. Even if one wanted to say it, one would not dare. This servant was called Zhongwu, and he was Su Han's most trusted person in the mansion. He had wanted to speak up for Su Han in the court, but Su Yingxue had sent someone to tell him not to tell the truth too early. They should tell the truth according to what the regional prince's mansion told them to, and they should only tell the truth when Su Han appeared. For so long, he and the others had been holding back. When Liang Jin heard him say this, he felt that something was amiss. "I'll give you another chance, but you have to tell me the truth. If you hide anything else, one won't forgive you." "No." Chu Xiaotian stopped him. "Sir, this person has gone back on his word. I'm afraid he has long planned to harm our regional prince's mansion. I don't think his words can be trusted." Chu Xiaotian turned around and glared at Zhongwu. He did not expect that this group of servants, whom he had trained well, would dare to betray him at this moment. "I don't think so either. How could the testimony of a person who went back on his word be used as evidence? You can't trust him." Chu Chengye was naturally on Chu Xiaoshan's side. In the hall, Liang Jin was in a difficult position and even began to suspect. He asked Su Han, "Su Han, are you familiar with this person? Are you instigating him to say these words today?" "Lord." Su Han lifted her dress and slowly knelt with Su Miaoyan's help. There were still some scars on her face, but her expression was magnanimous. "When I was still in the regional prince's mansion, Zhongwu was indeed a capable person in the mansion. It's reasonable for you to suspect that one instigated him to change his testimony. However, one believe that he's not the only one who wants to change his testimony today. Yes. What we said before was also fake. The regional prince forced us to say this. We only want to give the princess justice. She has been working hard in the regional prince's mansion for the past few years and has done so many things for the prince's mansion. In the end, she is still treated like this. This is unfair to her." With Zhongwu as the leader, more than a dozen servants of the regional prince's mansion all overturned their own testimony. Liang Jin was quite surprised. He slapped the gavel and said, "If what you said is true, tell me everything in detail." Chapter 612, Turn Things Around. Starting from Zhongwu, everyone testified that Su Han had endured a lot in the regional prince's mansion. As the steward, she was the best mistress imaginable. However, the master of the regional prince's mansion had always taken advantage of her kindness, mistreated her, and bullied her. The servants recounted in detail how she had been put in difficult situations in the regional prince's mansion over the past few years, as well as how she had been forced to do menial and exhausting work in the mansion after her surgery. Su Dingwei and Qin Wan, who had accompanied Su Han for so many days, felt like their hearts were being torn apart when they heard the servant's testimony. How could they have imagined that the marriage they had been so satisfied with would push their daughter into such a dire situation? In the hall, the people from the regional prince's mansion had very unpleasant expressions. Chu Xiaotian was the most fiercely criticized. As Su Han's husband, he felt utterly incompetent. Instead of protecting Su Han, his actions made things worse, and Su Han almost lost her life because of his negligence. Madame Sheng and Minute Jiao were particularly embarrassed. Madame Sheng, once envied as the former regional princess, a noblewoman of the imperial family, was now exposed as someone so willful and cruel, who bullied her daughter-in-law. In the future, she wouldn't have the courage to face anyone among the noble women of Jiangdu City. Minute Jiao was even more frightened. Not only was she being cursed at behind her back, but Su Yingxu's piercing gaze also occasionally swept over her. Trembling, she couldn't help but think of Su Jinxian. If Su Jinxian were here, how wonderful it would be if he could protect her. Liang Jin listened to everyone's testimony and re-evaluated the case. The conclusion was, the regional prince's mansion abused the regional princess. After her injury and surgery, she was not treated with respect due to being a regional princess. Instead, she was forced to do rough labor, subjected to beatings, and mistreated, which goes against proper etiquette. Lord Liang, in my opinion, there are many suspicious aspects to this case. The original witnesses have all recanted their testimony today, which is highly suspicious. Their testimony cannot be relied upon. Furthermore, I believe that all these individuals should be expelled from the regional prince's mansion and never employed by noble families again. Such disloyal servants will only bring harm to their masters. Chu Chengyes' words nearly drove Zhongwu and the others to despair. He even threatened them, stating the consequences of going against the regional prince's mansion. Zhongwu and the others were not without fear, but he raised his head and declared loudly, "Even if we are expelled from the regional prince's mansion, we will never change our testimony. We may lose our livelihoods, but we will not lose our integrity." This was what they had learned from Su Han. The other servants echoed his sentiment, and the atmosphere in the court became tense. Chu Chengye frowned. None of the regional prince's mansion's servants were obedient. Overthrowing them would not be easy. Moreover, Liang Jin stated, "Seventh Prince, these servants have been under the surveillance of my guards since they filed the case with me. Upon investigation, my guards found no evidence of their contact with Su Han, so they could not refute their testimony. I believe their testimony is valid." "Lord Liang, I disagree. This is Su Yingxu's scheme. It must be her." Chu Xiaoshan's face turned pale. He had neglected the servants at home and left everything to Su Han. However, he had already taken control of their families with their lives as leverage. He was certain that these servants would not betray him, but now, what was happening? Chapter 613. Minute Zhou's worry. He glared at Su Yingxue with resentment, but Su Yingxue simply smiled indifferently, as if to say, "Is it so difficult for her to save their families?" It wasn't. She couldn't directly intervene with these servants, but she had indeed saved their families. And as for who was right or wrong, everyone who had been through it knew well enough. She didn't need to do much, justice speaks for itself. Chu Xiaoshan's heart sank. Su Yingxue. He had actually been defeated by her here. His disappointed gaze then fell upon Su Han. "Haina, is this what you wanted me to see?" He had been utterly defeated in front of Su Yingxue. Su Han knelt in the hall, her frame slender, her back straight, not even sparing him a glance. Chu Xiaotian was shaken by her cold resolve. Never had Su Han hurt him like this before. If it weren't for the fact that they were in public, he would have brought out the letter from his embrace and questioned her about it. If she had written to him expressing longing, why was she so heartless in public? After Liang Jin finished interrogating the servants of the regional prince's mansion, he proceeded to interrogate Minute Zhou and Madame Sheng. Su Han had accused them of plotting against her. Liang Jin had the worms and eggs taken from the lotus pond, as well as the workers who had cleaned the pond for Minute Zhou. The workers confessed that Minute Zhou had instructed them to intentionally release those worms into the pond. They didn't know the purpose, but they were paid to do it. In Minute Zhou's courtyard, some servants confessed that she had intentionally caused Su Han to fall into the water. Su Yingxue also testified in court that she had performed surgery on Su Han and confirmed that Su Han was indeed a victim. Madame Sheng was in a panic. She knew about Minute Zhou's actions, even condoning them. However, Minute Zhou had initially assured her that it was just a minor punishment and that she had no intention of taking her life. She had not anticipated the situation escalating to such an extent. Minute Zhou County Lord, do you admit to framing Su Han with the worms in the lotus pond? Liang Jin questioned sternly. Minute Zhou shook her head fearfully. I don't admit it. I don't admit it. Madame Sheng, composed and resolute behind her, knew that as long as Minute Zhou didn't confess, there was still a chance to salvage the situation. She had her husband and son to rely on. They wouldn't be sentenced as long as Minute Zhou didn't confess. My lord, I'm not feeling well and I want to rest. Liang Jin frowned slightly. He wouldn't allow an ordinary prisoner to be excused, but seeing Minute Zhou being carried in with a broken leg, he allowed her to rest. When Minute Zhou reached the lounge with a cubicle, she sent someone to summon Su Yingxue. The maid awkwardly informed Minute Zhou, county head, Su Yingxue said she won't come. If there's anything, she asks you to find her yourself. Minute Zhou looked at her broken leg. She couldn't walk, but she was consumed with worry. Until now, Su Jinxian hadn't appeared. The entire Marquise Manor family had mobilized, even Su Yingxu's seemingly inconspicuous father had come. Why hadn't Su Jinxian shown up? Had Su Yingxue made things difficult for him in the Marquise Manor and harmed him? The more Minute Zhou thought about it, the more anxious she became. She couldn't bear it any longer. She grabbed a cane and got out of bed. County Lord, your leg hasn't healed yet. You shouldn't be walking. Get lost. Minute Jia leaned on her cane, each step causing excruciating pain. But for Su Jinxuan's sake, she would endure any pain to confront Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue stood under the veranda, basking in the rare autumn sunlight. She squinted her eyes, tilting her head back, enjoying the sun's warmth. Su Yingxue, you wretched woman. Chapter 614, Su Han's confidence. Minute Jia's voice carried from afar, and Su Yingxue observed her limping figure, shaking her head. Walking like that, your leg may never fully recover. It might leave you permanently disabled. So be it. Tell me, what have you done to Jinxuan? Why hasn't he come? The entire Su family is here, yet where's Jinxuan? Minute Jia's eyes reddened as she demanded answers. Jinxuan? Su Yingxue lazily placed her hand on her forehead. A young girl like the county lord addressing my brother in such an intimate manner seems rather inappropriate, don't you think? It's better to address him differently. It's none of your business. I demand to know where Jinxuan is. What have you done to him? Minute Jia was about to grab Su Yingxue. She was deeply concerned about Su Jinxuan. What I do to him is no concern of yours, county lord. Who are you to him? Su Jinxuan belongs to the Marquise Manor and is my brother. As his elder sister, now overseeing the manor, it's only natural for me to discipline him if necessary. Su Yingxue found an excuse to remind her, you've harmed my cousin Su Han. If I take it out on Su Jinxuan, what then? His martial arts are strong. You're lying. Minute Jia's heart was in turmoil. Strong martial arts. Su Yingxue pretended to be arrogant. With the top assassin from the Silver Moon Pavilion by my side, can anyone be stronger? And with the poison doctor Saint Juan in my household, can anyone escape? With them, I don't even need the shadow guards your highness sent me. Su Yingxue sighed as if lamenting. Su Yingxue, how could you treat your own her like this? Minute Jia wanted to tear her apart. We don't share the same mother. Why can't I treat him like this? Just like how you treated my sister. Su Yingxue was about to leave. Her demeanor became more relaxed. Minute Jia cried even harder. She had always been arrogant, but she suddenly put down her walking stick and knelt in front of Su Yingxue, begging, Su Yingxue, please don't harm Jinxuan. I'll do anything you ask. As expected, Su Yingxue looked at Minute Jia with pity. I want justice for my cousin. You can think about what to do yourself. She left after speaking, but Minute Jia remained kneeling, crying so hard that she almost fainted. It was only when Madame Sheng and Chu Xiaotian found her that they carried her away. Su Han watched Su Yingxue return from a distance and understood. Is this your plan, Yingxue? They had saved the servants of the regional prince's mansion and allowed Liang Jin to take their testimonies. However, convicting Madame Sheng and Minute Jia wouldn't be easy because they were not ordinary women. Su Yingxue smiled. Sister, I promised you I'd seek justice for you. Su Han's eyes were filled with gratitude. Thank you, Yingxue. But is sister willing to sever ties with Chu Xiaotian? Su Yingxue's face showed a hint of apology. I'm sorry, sister. I've read your letter and I can sense your lingering feelings for him. Su Han's eyes were calm, devoid of the grief and sadness she once had when leaving Chu Xiaotian. She assured Su Yingxue, don't worry. I'll make him personally sign the Book of Extinction. After that, I'll have nothing to do with him in this life. Su Yingxue was slightly surprised. She couldn't figure out what Su Han had in mind. In the past, she always felt that Su Han didn't seem like a daughter of the Marquise Manor. Chapter 615, He wouldn't let Su Han go. The members of the Su family were all proud and stubborn, but Su Han's gentle demeanor made her seem somewhat pitiable. However, after this incident, Su Yingxue realized that Su Han was the strongest-willed among the sisters of the Su family. When she uttered the words extinction, her resolute attitude surprised everyone. Her confident demeanor also convinced Su Yingxue that she still had a plan. Su Yingxue was curious about what Su Han intended to do. Half an hour later, Liang Jin reopened the trial. When questioning Minute Jia, Liang Jin asked her several times, but she acted as if she hadn't heard. Madame Sheng supported her and whispered, "Minute Jia, speak up. Say you didn't do it. You didn't harm Su Han. Your brother and the 7th prince are ready. If you deny it, we can continue to delay the trial. Speak up." Minute Jia remained silent for a long time, but her eyes were fixed on the Su family members. She had waited for so long and even sent people to the Marquise Manor, but she couldn't find Su Jinxuan. There was no news of him. Her heart twisted with fear. If Su Yingxue is so ruthless and Jinxuan fell into her hands, just the thought made her heart tremble uncontrollably. "What are you saying? Speak up." Madame Sheng kept shaking Minute Jia's arm. Minute Jia and Su Yingxue exchanged a glance, and the smile in Su Yingxue's eyes made Minute Jia give up her struggle. She pushed Madame Sheng away and apologized tearfully. "Mother, I'm sorry. She had to tell the truth. It's me." Minute Jia looked up with tear-filled eyes and confessed in court. "I killed Su Han. I deliberately prepared the worms in the lotus pond. I even had someone push her into the water to harm her, because one couldn't stand her. One came up with this despicable method." "Minute Jia, what are you saying?" Chu Xiaotian roared coldly, gripping her shoulders. "Are you out of your mind? You're my sister, how could you do such a thing?" Minute Jia held back her tears. She didn't know how to explain to her brother, who had put in so much effort to protect her. However, she closed her eyes and continued, "Not only did one harm Su Han with worms, but I also found people to make things difficult for her when my brother hated her after her operation. I beat her with my mother every day, and then I instigated my mother to kill her and sent people to hunt her down. My mother and one did it all. Everything." Minute Jia finished speaking in one breath, looking like a puppet whose soul had been drained. "Minute Jia, you..." Madame Sheng was so angry that she fainted. Although Liang Jin was shocked, it didn't stop him from making a judgment. "The truth of the case is clear. It's true that Madame Sheng and Minute Jia County Lord planned to murder Su Han." "No. Lord Liang, my younger sister was confused for a moment." Chapter 616. Cruel Truth. He curled his lips and glanced at Su Yingxue as if mocking her. She had thought it would be easy to persuade Liang Jin to close the case and remove Su Han from the imperial clan, but it wasn't that simple. "I have brought the registry of the imperial clan," Chu Yihan said. Clad in a flowing black robe, Chu Yihan appeared before everyone, prompting them all to kneel and bow in respect. Chu Xiaotian glared at the registry in Chu Yihan's hand, his eyes bloodshot. "Even if the imperial uncle has the registry, so what? You don't have the sole authority over the entire imperial clan. You can't act unilaterally. Is that so?" Chu Yihan's tone rose as he summoned a servant. He informed Chu Xiaotian, "This matter has been approved by the emperor and stamped by Prince Shi, who oversees the clan. Once Lord Liang concludes this case, Su Han can be removed from the imperial clan." What did you say?" Chu Xiaotian staggered back. How could this happen so fast? He had thought he had more time to plan, to keep Su Han by his side, even if only for a month, a day. Why was this happening so quickly? Taking the letter from Prince Shi, Chu Xiaotian saw the seal and realized it was authentic. He couldn't keep Su Han anymore. Reading the letter, Chu Changye considered Chu Yihan's influence over the imperial clan and his ability to secure Prince Xi's seal in such a short time. Just how powerful was he? Chu Changye felt choked up. He decided then and there not to interfere in Chu Xiaoshan's affairs. After suffering multiple losses, he wouldn't dare oppose Chu Yihan rashly again. "Lord Liang, once this case is closed, one will see to it that Su Han is removed," Chu Yihan declared, turning to Liang Jin, who respectfully nodded in response. "For now, we await the signature of the Prince of Yong'an County on the divorce decree." Holding the clan registry, Chu Yihan exuded an air of superiority as he commanded, "Sign and stamp." "I don't." Chu Xiaoshan's eyes reddened. He couldn't protect his mother and sister anymore. He couldn't let go of his wife, His Haina. Your Highness, Haina has something to show you. As everyone pressured Chu Xiaotian to sign the divorce decree, Suhan approached him with graceful steps. Her attire today was reminiscent of her pre-marriage days. It was fresh, beautiful, as delicate as a lotus. Chu Xiaoshan's oppressive feelings vanished completely after her words. She still cared for him. He was sure of it. Suhan held a brocade box, seemingly ordinary but emitting a cold aura. As Chu Xiaotian opened it, his eyes widened, and he stepped back. What is this? Amidst a pile of ice cubes lay a piece of meat. The meat's shape was peculiar, a small ball resembling a gourd but with bite marks and dark wounds, unsettling to behold. Chu Xiaotian didn't understand why Su Han showed him this. Su Yingxue understood. Though she had intended to bury it, Su Han insisted otherwise, preserving it in the ice room. Su Yingxue hadn't expected her to keep it until now. Su Han gently caressed the meat bale, her eyes reflecting maternal love. Your Highness, this is our child. It was in my womb for less than 2 months when I fell into the water. Those worms grew inside me and killed the child. Chapter 617. He let go bite him to death. Chu Xiaoshan's heart suddenly felt pierced, and a heavy sadness surged from within. He carefully held the box, his eyes flustered and at a loss. How could this happen? This is the child of mine and yours. Our child. Why didn't you ever mention this? Mention it. Su Han laughed. By the time I knew about his existence, he was already dead. Yingxue performed surgery on me, removing the worms and the child. If it weren't for Minute Jia and Madame Sheng's schemes, her child would have grown safely in her womb, to be born in peace. But all of it was destroyed. Chu Xiaoshan's hands trembled as he clutched the box tightly to his chest. Anger, regret, despair, and a myriad of other emotions surged through him. He had never cried in front of others before. But now, he couldn't hold back the tears. My child is dead. My child, he was gone. He was already a father. But his child, dead at the hands of his mother and sister. It wasn't me, son. You can't blame me. I didn't know she was pregnant, I didn't know. Madame Sheng, just awakening, heard Su Han's words. She trembled at the sight of the lump of flesh in Chu Xiaoshan's arms. How could she have known she would end up killing her grandson? Su Han, it's all your fault. You wretch, why didn't you tell us you were pregnant? You killed my grandson. Enough. Chu Xiaotian barked at Madame Sheng. What more do you want? My child is dead because of you and Minute Jia. What more do you want? Son, Madame Sheng's heart tightened. She walked unsteadily to Chu Xiaotian. Son, you can't blame me. I just didn't like Su Han. I didn't intend to harm your child. He's still my grandson. Your grandson was born by your daughter-in-law. You harmed your daughter-in-law. How can you still have the face to see your grandson? Tears streamed down the old regional prince's face. He was also deeply disappointed in Madame Sheng. Chu Xiaotian held the lump of flesh and signed the divorce decree. His eyes were empty as if he had lost his soul. He missed Su Han so much, but he didn't even dare to speak to her. He couldn't protect her, couldn't protect the child. What right did he have to speak to her now? Su Han signed the divorce agreement after him, and Liang Jin kept it. Chu Yihan crossed Su Han's name off the list of the imperial clan and announced, from now on, you are the daughter of the Su family. Su Han kowtowed to Chu Yihan. Thank you for your grace, your highness. She was finally free. Su Dingwei and Qin Wan comforted their daughter with relief. Su Yingxue walked up to Chu Yihan and bowed. She wore a charming smile. Thank you, your highness. Chu Yihan pinched her nose. I've said before, there's no need for thanks between us. Su Yingxue smiled sweetly. Just as she was about to leave with Chu Yihan, her clothes were suddenly tugged. It was Minute Jia. She grabbed Su Yingxue with all her might, her eyes bloodshot, her face filled with resentment and unwillingness. Su Yingxue, we lost. My mother and I lost. My brother is gone too. You've achieved your goal. Can you? She panted, enduring the intense pain in her leg, then looked up again, her eyes filled with hope. Can you tell me what you did to brother Jinxuan? Is he all right? I'm so worried about him. Please, I beg you, don't hurt him, okay? He has some old injuries from years of battles, but with daily acupuncture and tonic herbs, he will surely live a long life. What's the use of living so long? Life comes to an end eventually. Su Qingji was a cheerful person. In the past, he had wished for a longer life, with many ambitions left unfulfilled. He wanted to leave a legacy for generations to come. However, Long Shuli had once said, even if the body lives long, if the heart is corrupted, it's meaningless. It's better to have a clean and transparent heart and face death with equanimity at a certain age. At that time, he was truly astonished. Long Shuli was in her prime, yet she had such profound insights into life and death. But now, after all these years since her departure, he found her words increasingly reasonable. And now, he echoed the same sentiment to Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue's admiration for him grew. She teased Su Qingji, "Don't you want to live longer and enjoy a few more years with your children and grandchildren?" Chapter 620, Xiao Yu's visit. Young girl, your words have a deeper meaning. You've also reached the age where you should be married. Do you have your ideas? Su Qingji scrutinized Su Yingxue. She possessed the same breathtaking beauty as Long Shuli, and her medical skills were even more remarkable. Running a clinic and overseeing the affairs of the Marquise Manor, she excelled in everything she did. However, she was still a woman. How could she not have thoughts about marriage? Su Yingxue didn't deny it. She asked tentatively, "What kind of person does Grandpa think I should marry?" Su Qingji had pondered this question carefully. Previously, when Su Yingxue showed interest in the seventh prince, he hadn't opposed the idea of her marrying into the imperial family. After all, this Marquise Manor was Su Yingxue's powerful maternal family, and she was certainly worthy of a prince. But now that he was back and saw that Su Yingxue didn't mention the seventh prince at all, and when he came to visit, she didn't even spare him a glance, it seemed that chapter was already closed. But her feelings for Chu Yihan. Su Qingji took out a visiting card from his sleeve. "This is the letter Grandpa received today. Noble Consort Xiao sent it on behalf of the Xiao family's eldest young master. Would you be willing to go and treat the Xiao family's eldest young master?" Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. The eldest young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Yu? She hadn't interacted much with the Xiao family in her past life, but she could tell from noble Consort Xiao's demeanor how wealthy they were. It was said that the Xiao family's businesses spanned various industries, forming a virtual monopoly, and held sway over nearly half of the great Cheng dynasty's economy. The eldest young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Yu, was a business prodigy who had propelled the family to even greater heights. However, fate was unkind, and he hadn't lived past 30 due to poor health. Accepting the visiting letter, Su Yingxue thought to herself that noble Consort Xiao was indeed astute. Previously, she had received lavish rewards without any indication of what was to come. Now, she was being presented with the eldest young master of the Xiao family. "Grandpa, noble Consort has previously come to my aid and bestowed me with many gifts. If one can heal the eldest young master of the Xiao family, I'm willing to give it my best effort." Su Yingxue had barely finished speaking when Su Qingji said, "With your mother's medical skills, there's nothing that can't be cured in the eldest young master of the Xiao family's illness. Don't disgrace your mother." Su Yingxue was speechless. Why did she feel like Grandpa was overestimating her? No. Grandpa was overestimating her mother. If she couldn't cure him, it would be like tarnishing her mother's reputation. Oh my God, so frightening. Suddenly, she felt a psychological pressure. The next day, Xiao Yu paid a visit. After paying his respects to Su Qingji naturally introduced Su Yingxue to him. Su Yingxue looked at the eldest young master of the Xiao family. His face was like jade, his skin smooth. If she hadn't known his identity beforehand, She would have thought him to be a delicate young master from some noble family. She never would have imagined that he was a powerful businessman in the business world. There was no trace of the cunning of a businessman in his eyes. He was calm and collected. But he was also very aloof. Upon seeing Su Yingxue, he merely nodded. "Hello, Miss Su." Su Yingxue returned the greeting, and he said, "It's my first time visiting Old General and Miss Su. Here's a small gift as a token of respect. One hope Miss Su will accept it." Su Yingxue smiled and replied, "Young Master Xiao is too kind." Turning around, she was nearly blinded. The courtyard was filled with boxes, the so-called small gift mentioned by Xiao Yu. How wealthy was the Xiao family? Xiao Yu paid no mind to her astonishment, showing no change in expression. Su Yingxue playfully poked her head. This girl was precocious. Su Miaoyan winced but caught Xiao Yu's smiling gaze. "Oh, this brother is handsome," Su Miaoyan thought. Compared to her sister's ninth prince, she preferred this kind of fair, clean brother. Just looking at him made her want to rush over and take a bite. Su Yingxue took Xiao Yu to the medicine hut, with Su Miaoyan quietly trailing behind. When Su Yingxue needed someone to assist her, Su Miaoyan was quite diligent. Chapter 622, the frail and sickly Xiao Yu for instance, giving Xiao Yu a pulse pillow and helping him roll up his sleeves. These tasks were originally meant to be carried out by Xiao Yu's attendant, Xiao Sai. But Su Miaoyan blinked her watery eyes. "Sister has always been used to me helping her by her side. This little miss looked adorable. Who could resist her?" If it weren't for Xiao Sai guarding Xiao Yu and preventing him from leaving, he would have been persuaded by her to go outside. Seeing that Xiao Sai wasn't budging, Su Miaoyan took the opportunity to chat with Xiao Yu. "Young Master Xiao, what's your full name? How old are you this year?" Xiao Yu didn't respond immediately. Instead, it was Xiao Sai who eagerly chimed in, "His family name is Yu. He is 20 this year." Before Xiao Sai could finish, Xiao Yu gave him a cold glare. With that glance, he seemed to transform into a different person, cold and ruthless. Xiao Sai was so frightened that he immediately fell silent, muttering to himself, "Haven't one always been speaking on behalf of others?" His young master was a man of few words, seldom engaging in conversation with others. However, facing Su Miaoyan, Xiao Yu's lips parted. "Xiao Yu, 21. Su Miaoyan's heart melted at the sound of his voice. This brother's voice was so pleasing. Like aged wine in an alley, it carried an intoxicating resonance and a faint hoarseness. Moving closer, Su Miaoyan extended her small hand toward Xiao Yu, feigning ignorance. "Which character? Brother, could you write it for me to see?" Xiao Sai was dumbfounded. "Miss, you come from the Marquise Manor, yet you don't recognize this character." Ignoring him, Su Miaoyan pouted and extended her fair and tender palm before Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, who typically maintained distance from others and rarely touched them, reached out his finger and inscribed the character Yu onto her fair palm. There was a thin layer of calluses on his fingers, likely from years of holding a brush. When his finger traced her palm, it tickled and felt slightly cold. Su Miaoyan held Xiao Yu's hand, warming it up. She even complimented him, "Brother is handsome, and your name is beautiful too." Her pure, sweet smile warmed everyone's hearts. For some reason, a smile broke through Xiao Yu's usually indifferent demeanor. Xiao Sai was utterly shocked. Young master, are you smiling? Was he blind?" Still in disbelief, Xiao Sai watched as Su Yingxue approached with all her prepared items. Glancing at Su Miaoyan, who had been taking advantage of the situation, Su Yingxue reminded her, "That's enough. Can you let go of my patient's hand now, Su Miaoyan?" Su Yingxue's reprimand caused Su Miaoyan to stiffen and retreat to the side. Naturally, she released Xiao Yu's hand. As Su Yingxue directed Xiao Yu to place his hand on the pulse pillow, their skin made contact. When Su Yingxue, the doctor, touched Xiao Yu, a trace of evident disgust flashed across his eyes. Pretending not to notice, Su Yingxue turned away, only to find Su Miaoyan smirking at her as if to say, "See, the handsome brother likes me, not you." TSK. Su Yingxue rolled her eyes at her. She was a doctor, not a coin. She didn't need everyone to adore her. However, as she examined Xiao Yu's pulse, she felt that things were becoming more complicated. She inquired of Xiao Yu, "Did Madam give birth to a young master prematurely? Are you congenitally weak?" Xiao Yu's attitude toward her was markedly different from his treatment of Su Miaoyan. He remained silent, and Xiao Sai answered on his behalf, "Yes, when Madam was 8 months pregnant, a daoist visited, warning of an evil spirit's influence. The young master was born prematurely and has frail and sickly." Su Yingxue interjected. Chapter 623. Let his uncle know. Yes, yes, yes. That's it. Xiao Sai seemed a little excited. "Miss Su is truly a genius doctor. You can even discern this." Xiao Yu didn't say anything, but the expression in his eyes indicated his dissatisfaction with Su Yingxue. Even ordinary doctors could diagnose this. However, he had been in poor health since childhood. Over the years of illness, his father had always worried that the words of the Taoist priest would come true and that he wouldn't live past 30. So, they searched far and wide for renowned doctors, but even so, there was no improvement. Meanwhile, his mother spent her days in tears, blaming herself for not being able to give him a healthy body. And himself. The Xiao family has a vast business empire. I reckon no less than 10 people are serving young Master Xiao closely, right? Su Yingxue casually inquired. It was Xiao Sai who replied again. "Yes, I serve young Master's calligraphy and travel. Young Master has 4 personal maids, for people in the accountant's room, and about 10 to 20 people who attend to him daily." Su Yingxue took a deep breath. Just as I suspected. Xiao Yu sensed that Su Yingxue's words held deeper meaning and asked, "What do you mean?" "Young Master Xiao has too many people around him. It's not conducive to your recovery. Why not keep a few loyal ones? The others shouldn't linger around you. It would be beneficial for your condition." Su Yingxue released Xiao Yu's hand and began prescribing him a treatment. After writing the prescription, Su Yingxue instructed Xiao Yu to follow it for 3 days before coming to the Marquise Manor for a follow-up. Seeing that Su Yingxue didn't ask much and didn't say much, Xiao Yu, not even sure if she understood his symptoms, didn't quite believe in her medical skills. He took it as a favor to his aunt and immediately left for the Marquise Manor. But Su Miaoyan saw through the situation. She took Su Yingxue's arm, her eyes probing. "Sister, is young Master Xiao's illness not that simple? It seemed like something that couldn't be solved with just a few prescriptions." Su Yingxue rubbed her head. "It's so complicated that I don't even know how to broach the subject. If the Xiao family were an ordinary family, she would have told Xiao Yu directly that the people around him were not trustworthy. They had poisoned him since childhood, and his years of illness were caused by the accumulation of toxins. But he was the young master of the Xiao family, the heir to immense wealth. If she told Xiao Yu, and he caused a commotion upon his return, Marquise Manor would not find peace. She couldn't be so rash. She needed to think carefully about how to express herself. Chapter 624. He wanted to see the world. The corners of her eyes reddened as she read, and she sighed. Linger's writing is getting better and better. The stories he wrote recently always make me unable to hold back, Your Majesty. Granny Song knelt in front of her. Noble Consort Xiao put down her book and wiped the corners of her eyes. Her every move was noble and elegant. "What's the matter?" she asked. "Miss Su said that she wants to see Your Majesty. She wants to personally tell you about young Master Yu's illness," Granny Song said. Noble Consort Xiao raised her slender eyebrows. "She didn't tell you, but she specifically told me. Looks like Yu's illness is very troublesome." Noble Consort Xiao supported her forehead with her hand and thought for a moment. "Forget it. Go and summon her to the palace tomorrow. I'll hold a banquet to entertain her." "Yes, Your Majesty. Do you want to invite young Master Yu into the palace?" Granny Song asked. Noble Consort Xiao said lazily, "You is too cold. The palace is already deserted enough. Let him come back later." Granny Song didn't ask anything else and immediately went to work. The next day, Su Yingxue tidied herself up and planned to enter the palace to meet Noble Consort Xiao. It was rare for Su Miaoyan to see her wearing a traditional dress, so she quickly came up to tease her. "Is the 9th prince entering the palace today?" Su Yingxue patted her little head. "Although the 9th prince isn't around, one still have to go out and meet people, okay? Isn't that so? When the 9th prince wasn't around, my sister was always in the clinic or the medicine hut. She never dressed up properly, so it's not as grand as today. This light purple dress is the latest style of the 1000 Jiao pavilion. There are 100 pearls of the same size on the hem of the dress. If my sister wears it, I don't know how many noble ladies in Jiangdu City will be envious." Su Yingxue curled her lips. "Su Miaoyan, aren't you being too clever today? Tell me, what do you want?" Su Yingxue knocked on her head. When Su Miaoyan blinked, she looked the same as when she was young, full of mischief. Although it wasn't bad, there was something wrong. Su Miaoyan pouted. "Sister has seen through me, so I'll just say it. One want to go to the palace with sister. Mother always locks me up at home and doesn't even bring me to decent banquets. She's afraid that 111 caused trouble at a young age, so one want to see the world." Su Miaoyan's face was filled with "I want to see the world," which made Su Yingxue somewhat unable to bear it. "It's not wrong for auntie to be cautious, but it's time for a lady of your age to see the world." Su Yingxue patted her head and said. Su Yingxue recalled her past life. Because of Su Dingheng's obstruction, she did not go out and see much of the world. Later on, she was brought out by Su Yuro to attend banquets and was ridiculed quite a bit. She did not want the same thing to happen to Su Miaoyan. Su Miaoyan was not stupid, so she carried Su Miaoyan into the car. Su Miaoyan was wearing a light yellow dress, and her small face was covered with a thin layer of makeup, making her look even more lively, like a little butterfly that was about to fly. She was extremely grateful to Su Yingxue in her heart. "Sister Xue, don't worry. One definitely won't cause you any trouble. I'll learn well from you." "What are you learning from me?" "To learn the rules. Aren't rules very important in the palace?" Su Yingxue couldn't hold back her laughter. "I'm in the imperial palace now, so one rarely adhere to the rules. Why don't you learn from me and discover how to make yourself more capable so that the rules will take a detour when they encounter you?" Su Miaoyan's eyes were wide open, and the admiration for Su Yingxue in her eyes had increased to another level. Chapter 625, Pretty Brother, You're Here Too. Although she said that, Su Yingxue still explained the rules of the palace to Su Miaoyan. The emperor and empress could not be provoked, especially the 7th prince who held a grudge against her. As for the rest, Su Yingxue thought to herself that they were visiting Noble Consort Xiao's palace today. Noble Consort Xiao was generous, so even if Su Miaoyan made a small mistake, she wouldn't be blamed. Perhaps, based on her innocence, she might even reward her with a pile of gold hairpins. Su Miaoyan was very obedient. On the way into the palace, she didn't even peek outside the carriage curtains. After getting out of the carriage, she obediently followed Su Yingxue, walking along the palace path. However, Su Yingxue found it strange. The attendants didn't take her to Noble Consort Xiao's place but brought her to Fengzao Palace. Su Yingxue was a bit suspicious. "Granny, this is the Empress Middle Palace." The attendant simply led the way. Upon reaching the entrance of Fengzao Palace and seeing Granny Song, she left. Seeing Su Yingxue's puzzled expression, Granny Song approached and explained, "Miss Su, when the Empress heard that you were coming to the palace today, she insisted on hosting a banquet for you." Su Yingxue narrowed her eyes. "It seems the Empress misses me a lot. What was she up to now?" "Sister, will one cause you trouble if one accompany you to the Empress Palace?" The moment Su Miaoyan heard about the Empress, she remembered Su Yingxue's past encounters with her and her son. Wasn't this a revenge scheme? Su Yingxue put her arm around Miaoyan's shoulder. "Don't worry. Just bow and keep quiet." Miaoyan nodded. Granny Song looked at Miaoyan and asked, Miss Su, who is this? It's my third uncle's youngest daughter, Miaoyan. I wanted to introduce her to noble consort Xiao and let her see the world, but unexpectedly, we ended up at the Empress Palace today, Su Yingxue explained with a faint smile. Granny Song, being an elder in the palace, naturally knew the Empress' intentions. If Su Yingxue were alone, she wouldn't worry. But this little girl. Nice to meet you, Granny. As they stood at the entrance of Fengzao Palace, an elegant male voice greeted them. Su Yingxue and Su Miaoyan looked toward the source of the voice. Xiao Yu, dressed in a light bamboo-colored brocade robe, sat in a wheelchair. Though his features were delicate and distant, his eyes suddenly brightened. She was here too. Xiao Yu was pleased to see Miaoyan. However, considering her innocence, untouched by worldly affairs, Su Yingxue's decision to bring her to the imperial palace seemed questionable, prompting a hint of blame towards Su Yingxue. Hey, brother, you're here too. You look even better today. Upon seeing Xiao Yu, Miaoyan's eyes curved like crescent moons, causing Xiao Yu to unconsciously smile. Thank you. You're welcome, brother. You look so good. Meeting you is my blessing, Miaoyan said cheerfully. Miss Su, your sister is quite eloquent, Xiao Sai praised. He had encountered many clever and quick-witted girls with his young master, but Miaoyan's aura was unique and refreshing. Moreover, their young master seemed to like her company. Seeing Miaoyan's joyful eyes, Su Yingxue realized that her ability to speak depended on the person she was interacting with. During their confrontation with their aunt earlier, Miaoyan had displayed a remarkable skill for words. Chapter 626. Is your hearing bad? However, she didn't see it as a bad thing, so she didn't restrict her. Instead, she took her hand and said, let's go meet the Empress. Okay. Su Miaoyan responded crisply. Before leaving, she couldn't resist turning back to steal a glance at Xiao Yu, giving him a sweet smile. As the autumn wind brushed over Xiao Yu's shoulders, he felt that the scene before him was not as bleak as before. Young master, shall we go in? Xiao Sai asked, noticing Xiao Yu's silence. Xiao Yu grunted in agreement before cautiously pushing his wheelchair forward. Although Xiao Yu's body was weak, making it difficult for him to walk normally and requiring him to use a wheelchair, after leading the Xiao family for so many years, no one dared to disobey his orders due to his frailty. In the main hall of Fengzao Palace, Su Yingxue escorted Su Miaoyan to greet the Empress. The Empress gestured for her to take a seat. Glancing around, Su Yingxue recognized familiar faces in the hall. Noble consort Xiao sat beside the Empress, Chu Changye sat opposite, and Xiao Yu, who had just arrived, was seated beside her. Su Yingxue stole a glance at the Empress, pondering silently, what schemes does this Empress have in mind? Su Yingxue, I heard that you were planning to visit noble consort Xiao. Coincidentally, noble consort Xiao's family is in Jiangdu City as well, so I invited you all to the palace for entertainment. You don't think one was being rude, do you? The Empress sat gracefully, speaking with a smile. Su Yingxue returned the smile. Of course not, Your Majesty. Your generosity is deeply appreciated. Internally, she couldn't help but wonder about the depths of the Empress' schemes. After exchanging pleasantries with Xiao Yu, the Empress assigned Chu Changye to attend to him. Chu Changye came to toast Xiao Yu, who raised his teacup and said, I'm feeling unwell, Your Highness, so we'll stick with tea instead of wine. Please don't take offense. Chu Changye personally poured wine into Xiao Yu's cup. Young Master Xiao, this is the palace's imperial brew. Even though the Xiao family is the wealthiest in the world, without a reward, it's rare to taste it. Young Master Xiao, you should try it. Xiao Yu didn't lift the cup, he refrained from drinking. Noble consort Xiao's voice echoed from above, Seventh Prince, thank you for your concern. Our Yua has been fragile since childhood. It's rare for him to come to Jiangdu City for treatment. If you don't wish him ill, please refrain from troubling him. Hearing noble consort Xiao's words, Su Miaoyan leaned against Su Yingxue, whispering, Sister, noble consort sure dares to speak her mind. Even she understood that the seventh prince was a prominent candidate for the crown prince and the empress' legitimate son. Chapter 627. Brother will get sick if he drinks it. Chu Chengye had been on the receiving end of her scoldings many times, so he didn't get angry every time. This time, he sneered. Su Yingxue, since you're so concerned about young Master Xiao, why don't you drink this glass of wine for him? Chu Chengye passed the wine to Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue's eyes were filled with disdain. Is seventh prince drunk and talking nonsense? Trying to spread rumors about him and Xiao Yu? Dream on. Seeing that Su Yingxue was unmoved, Chu Chengye continued to pressure Xiao Yu with his wine glass. Noble consort Xiao had already stood up, ready to teach Chu Chengye a lesson, when the empress grabbed her hand. Sister, they're just younger ones talking and drinking. Why do you need to step in? Come and have a drink with me. Noble consort Xiao snorted coldly. Has empress forgotten how to discipline your son recently? As she spoke, she was about to shake off the empress' hand, but to her surprise, the empress held her especially tightly. The empress raised her eyebrows at her. I know you've always been arrogant, but if you dare to drag me down in Fengzao Palace today, do you know the consequences? Consequences? The corners of noble consort Xiao's lips curled up slightly. She had underestimated her. The empress wanted to trick her. The empress saw that she was not convinced and sneered. Your precious son is locked up at home writing books. He hasn't come to pay his respects to you for a few days, right? If one let people burn down his bookstore, do you think he will be very sad? You. Noble consort Xiao gritted her teeth. This time, the empress had her under control. Her only weakness was Chu Jinling. Ever since that child separated from Lin Cece, he had been feeling bad and had been locking him up. If something happened to the bookstore again, he would not be hurt, but his heart would be lost for a long time. As his mother, how could she bear to? Noble consort Xiao was being pestered by the empress, and Chu Chengye had been forcing her to drink. Su Yingxue felt that Chu Chengye was full of evil ideas, and Xiao Yu seemed unable to reject him. However, her relationship with Xiao Yu was only that of a doctor and a patient. There was no need for her to care about Xiao Yu's other matters. After all, Xiao Yu and Chu Chengye still had imperial power and the Xiao family behind them. Your Highness, brother can't drink. Can one help him drink? It was unknown when Su Miaoyan had walked in front of Chu Chengye. Her palm-sized face was delicate and cute, and her glass-like eyes were so clear that it was as if the water was flowing out. Chu Chengye smiled. You're still a child. Do you know what wine tastes like? This was the liquor he had specially prepared for Xiao Yu. I don't know, but brother is not in good health. He will get sick if he drinks. I don't want to see him get sick, so can one help him drink? As Su Miaoyan spoke, she reached out her small hands to take Chu Chengye's wine glass. The man's slender hand snatched the glass of wine away before her fingers could touch it. Xiao Yu's voice was emotionless. One appreciate your kindness, your highness. Brother, you can't drink it. You'll get sick. Su Miaoyan rushed towards him anxiously. Since she couldn't snatch it, she might as well spill this glass of wine. Let me do it. Before Xiao Yu could finish his wine, Su Yingxue snatched his wine cup and downed it in one gulp. Then, she placed the cup heavily on the table. Seventh Prince, are you satisfied? After downing a glass of hard liquor, Su Yingxue's face quickly burned up, and a blush crawled up her cheeks. Miss Su. Sister. Xiao Yu and Su Miaoyan spoke at the same time. The former was slightly shocked while the latter widened his eyes in shock. Su Miaoyan bit her lip and thought that she was done for. She had caused trouble for her sister, but she had completely forgotten that she was already in Xiao Yu's arms and her soft face was leaning on Xiao Yu's chest. Young Master Xiao, are you looking for Miss Su? There was a trap in his words. Xiao Yu did not want to talk to him. However, in this huge Fengzao palace, if no one led the way, he would not have been able to find Su Yingxue for a while. He raised his head and pursed his thin lips. Please tell me where Miss Su is. I'll find her myself. All right. Young Master Xiao, walk from here and cross the 9-winding corridor. Miss Su is sitting under that corridor. Liu Fu saw Xiao Yu turning his wheelchair in that direction and squeezed out a smug smile on his face. Chu Chengye was standing in the fake mountain opposite the winding corridor. Liu Fu quietly came to his side and reported, Your Highness, this young Master Xiao is very cautious. He did not let me lead the way, but he still went. Chapter 629. Xiao Yu was seriously injured. Chu Chengye sneered, being cautious, so what? I have no intention of harming him. Indeed, Your Highness' methods are quite ingenious. Liu Fu spared no effort in praising him. A cold, sinister intent spread across Chu Chengye's face. I wonder if my dear imperial uncle has hurried over upon hearing that Su Yingxue has entered the palace. I saw the 9th prince enter the palace just now. At this moment, Chu Chengye chuckled lightly and turned to leave. His imperial uncle held Su Yingxue dearly, not allowing anyone to even touch her. How would he feel seeing his beloved woman with another man right now? When Xiao Yu found Su Yingxue, she seemed to be in a deep sleep, leaning against a pillar with her eyes closed. He called out softly, Miss Su? Her? Why is Xiao Yu here? Su Yingxue was in the Medicine King Valley and could hear Xiao Yu calling her. However, her medicine wasn't ready yet, so she couldn't go out to respond. Oh, you are attracting another man again. Little ginseng floated in front of Su Yingxue, its long roots swaying. One of them lightly tapped Su Yingxue's face. Su Yingxue swatted it away. She rolled her eyes. You're the one attracting attention. She didn't intend to provoke Xiao Yu, and it seemed Xiao Yu wasn't interested in her either. However, Chu Chengye's wine was too strong. If she went out now, she wouldn't know what to say to Xiao Yu. Even boiling the hangover soup made her feel dizzy. Miss Su. Su Yingxue? She heard Xiao Yu call her again. Just as she was considering whether to go out and tell him to leave first, she suddenly heard a muffled groan. Puff. Xiao Yu was struck by Chu Yihan's palm, and his wheelchair shattered into pieces. He spat out a mouthful of blood and immediately fainted. Xiao Yu. Su Yingxue couldn't hesitate. She quickly stood up and rushed to Xiao Yu's side to check his breathing. He was hanging on by a thread. If Chu Yihan used a bit more force, he would have been done for. Su Yingxue looked at Chu Yihan in distress. Your Highness, what are you doing? Why would you harm someone for no reason? Are you blaming me? He attempted to touch you, why didn't you evade? Chu Yihan's chest heaved with anger. He was worried about Su Yingxue's safety in the Empress Palace, so he hurried over to find her. But now, seeing someone trying to harm her, and then being blamed for it, Su Yingxue felt Chu Yihan was being unreasonable. Your Highness, Hez Xiao Yu, the eldest young master of the Xiao family, the nephew of the noble consort. Do you realize what trouble you'll bring if you kill him? Su Yingxue didn't have time to explain further. She lifted Xiao Yu, fed him a heart protection pill, and began acupuncture to revive him. Just as she was about to insert the third needle, someone grabbed her hand. Chu Yihan questioned her sternly, Su Yingxue, what's your relationship with him? Why are you so concerned about him? I have no relationship with him. Your Highness, let go quickly, or we won't be able to save him. Are you so worried about him? If he dies, then so be it. No. If he dies, there will be consequences. What consequences should I be worried about? Chu Yihan pulled Su Yingxue into his arms. Xiao Yu fell to the ground again. Su Yingxue hurriedly pushed Chu Yihan away. Your Highness, now's not the time to be angry. Let me save him first, then I'll explain everything to you later. Why would Xiao Yu come out because he was worried about her? Speaking of which, one can see that young Master Xiao treats Miss Su differently. I heard that young Master Xiao has a cold demeanor and has yet to marry. He's indifferent to women, but he seems fond of Miss Su. The Empress smiled knowingly. The Empress covered her mouth and smiled. As she spoke, she seemed to have thought of something. By the way, didn't Miss Su stop young Master Xiao from drinking, leading to him coming out for some fresh air because of the alcohol? Could it be that our sudden appearance has ruined your mood? The Empress' sudden look of realization made it difficult not to interpret things the wrong way. Su Yingxue clenched her teeth in frustration. Empress, you seem to have quite the imagination. Chapter 631. Save Xiao Yu. Before she could clear her name, Chu Yihan pulled her in front of him. Chu Yihan detected the scent of alcohol on her and asked in a deep voice, "Have you been drinking?" Su Yingxue nodded. "Yes, but it's not what your highness thinks." Actually, is it for Xiao Yu?" Chu Yihan's sharp, deep eyes locked onto her. The depth of his gaze laid bare all falsehoods. Su Yingxue nodded. "Yes, but this drink was offered by the seventh prince. What concern is it of yours if he toasted Xiao Yu?" Chu Yihan's voice was cold and deep. "Su Yingxue, I had no idea you were so close to Xiao Yu. Your Highness." Su Yingxue realized in her heart that this was a scheme orchestrated by Chu Chengye and the Empress. No wonder they insisted on inviting noble consort Xiao Yu, and her to Fengzao Palace today. She thought the Empress would take the opportunity to confront her, but she didn't expect her to use Xiao Yu to frame Chu Yihan and incite discord between the Xiao family and Chu Yihan. "Su Yingxue, if anything happens to you, I won't forgive you." Noble consort Xiao's face was filled with anger. As she passed by Su Yingxue, she secretly squeezed her hand. Su Yingxue's eyes darkened. She grasped Chu Yihan's hand and whispered, "Your Highness, I feel dizzy. Can you please take me out first?" If they continued to linger here, it would only become more difficult to explain. "Yeah, Miss Su is feeling dizzy. Hurry and have someone prepare some hangover remedy for her." The Empress glanced at Chu Chengye. Chu Chengye chuckled. "With Imperial Uncle present, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to attend to Miss Su. I'll have to trouble Imperial Uncle. After all, compared to Imperial Uncle, I'm not as familiar with Miss Su as young Master Xiao." He seemed to be avoiding suspicion with Su Yingxue, but when he mentioned Xiao Yu, he was deliberately reminding Chu Yihan that Su Yingxue's relationship with Xiao Yu was not simple. Su Yingxue wished she could shut Chu Chengye's mouth. But now wasn't the time to confront him. She would settle the score later. Chu Yihan left the Empress Palace with a cold expression. Su Yingxue chased after him, calling out, "Your Highness, Your Highness." Chu Yihan was walking too quickly, so she had to jog to catch up. However, she hadn't yet drunk the hangover remedy, so she felt dizzy when she ran. She simply found a small corner and squatted down. She went to Medicine King's Valley first and drank the prepared hangover remedy. When she felt more alert, she would go after Chu Yihan. Chu Yihan had already walked swiftly to the palace gates and was about to leave. Su Yingxue wanted to chase after him to explain, but Granny Song rushed over. "Miss Su, please go and check on him. Young master, you can't hold on anymore." The court physician said he can't be saved. Su Yingxue's heart skipped a beat. If Xiao Yu died at Chu Yihan's hands, it would be over. She couldn't be bothered to chase after Chu Yihan and hurriedly followed Granny Song to noble consort Xiao's palace. Chu Yihan saw Su Yingxue chasing after him from afar. He had missed Su Yingxue for a long time, but he hadn't been able to go to the Marquise Manor to discuss marriage. He was extremely unhappy, and seeing Su Yingxue getting close to Xiao Yu, he acted impulsively. However, she didn't catch up to him. Instead, she was called away by noble consort Xiao's attendants. Chu Yihan's eyes flashed with a deep storm, cold and terrifying. Mochi stood beside him, trembling. "Master, shall we return to the residence?" As soon as Su Yingxue arrived in the palace, noble consort Xiao chased all the court physicians out. She had always been composed, but at this moment, she couldn't help but grab Su Yingxue and bring her to Xiao Yu. "Quick! Save him. Yu can't die. If he died, the Xiao family would surely descend into chaos." The century-old foundation of the Xiao family, her position in the palace, and Chu Jinling's future life would all be greatly affected. Chapter 632. Her heart ached for Chu Yihan. Su Yingxue felt Xiao Yu's pulse and sensed that he was still breathing, albeit having suffered serious internal injuries. After administering acupuncture and attending to him for a while, his breathing finally stabilized. When he regained consciousness and could swallow, she gave him another bowl of medicine. Xiao Yu drank it and fell asleep, his life finally secured. Noble consort Xiao kept vigil beside Xiao Yu, and upon seeing a hint of color returning to his pale face, she breathed a sigh of relief. Su Yingxue reassured her, "Noble consort, rest assured. Young Master Xiao's life is out of danger. However, his body is weak and will require some time for recuperation." Noble consort Xiao let out a long sigh. Surviving the 9th Prince's attack is already a stroke of luck. A trace of ruthlessness flickered in her eyes. She wasn't going to overlook Chu Yihan's assault on Xiao Yu. Taking the initiative, Su Yingxue admitted her mistake. "Noble consort, this was my fault. I was careless, leading to your highness' anger. I assure you, noble consort, one will spare no effort to heal young Master Xiao. I hope you won't hold your highness accountable." Among the harem members, the strongest wasn't the empress, but noble consort Xiao. Chu Yihan had crossed the empress, so Su Yingxue had no intention of apologizing. However, noble consort Xiao was different. As an imperial consort backed by the wealthy Xiao family, her involvement in disputes was much more complicated than the empress. Noble consort Xiao's eyes gleamed with determination. "Forget it. One intended only for you to enter the palace. It was the empress who deceitfully lured you into using my name. Rest assured, that account will be settled with her sooner or later." Noble consort Xiao's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Noble consort Xiao's unexpected magnanimity surprised Su Yingxue. Seeing Su Yingxue's expression relax, noble consort Xiao narrowed her eyes and reminded her, "Although I can let this matter go with 9th Prince, I can't decide on Yuer's side. Moreover, Yuer's illness is difficult to cure even after searching for famous doctors all over the world. If you take on this responsibility and can't cure him, I won't be the only one who will come looking for you to settle the score." Su Yingxue smiled. "Yes, I understand." Noble consort Xiao had patted her today to tell her that she had never taken the empress scheming to heart. Now, she was merely strategizing to ensure that Su Yingxue would cure Xiao Yu. She was an astute and intelligent individual. Her current position was not without reason. However, Su Yingxue was worried about Chu Yihan and wanted to leave the palace immediately to explain to him and calm his anger. Noble consort Xiao had assigned her a task to safely escort Xiao Yu to the Xiao family's residence in Jiangdu City, the Qilin Garden. Su Yingxue felt conflicted. Why didn't noble consort keep young Master Xiao in the palace for recuperation? Noble consort Xiao shook her head. This palace belongs to the empress, and with its crowded and unclean environment, a single mishap could cost Yu's life. The empress will not miss the chance to incite discord between the Xiao family and the 9th Prince. You must take him out of the palace immediately. Su Yingxue's expression turned serious as she acknowledged noble consort Xiao's cautious and thorough nature. However, if she were to send Xiao Yu to the 9th Prince's mansion, she feared that Chu Yihan would remain angry, causing her heart to ache. "Mother, as I have no duties in the palace, why not let me escort cousin? Miss Su is also a young lady. What if the empress causes trouble halfway?" Chu Jinling entered the main hall. Su Yingxue hadn't seen him for some time. Compared to his previous lively demeanor, he seemed to have become more stable. Chapter 633. Xiao Yu saved Su Miaoyan. Upon reaching noble consort Xiao, Chu Jinling bounced around like a child and leaned towards her side to act coquettishly. Noble consort Xiao's eyes were filled with heartache as she rubbed him. "It's so dangerous. You should obediently stay by mother's side. It's because it's dangerous that one want to go. Mother, do you think that just because Miss Su's martial arts are strong, the Empress and seventh brother won't make a move on her? If cousin were to die in their hands on the way, Miss Su would be even more confused. But I'm different. I'm the prince and your son. Seventh brother and the Empress have to think about how they'll clean up if they hurt me. The smile on Chu Jinling's fair and handsome face was pure. He seemed to be spotless, but his thoughts were meticulous and thorough. Su Yingxu's eyes were filled with admiration. What the ninth prince said makes sense. The Empress and the seventh prince have no qualms about me, but they won't dare to touch the ninth prince. Chu Jinling was not only noble consort Xiao's apple but also Chu Mingyuan's favorite son. Even if Chu Chengye didn't like him, he had to be polite to his younger brother. Not to mention sending people to intercept and kill them. Chu Jinling was a very good shield. Oh no. Assassination exemption gold medal. Noble consort Xiao also understood this logic, but her heart ached and she could not bear to part with Chu Jinling. Linger, mother is still worried about you. Why doesn't mother send more people to accompany Miss Su and your cousin? You can stay by consort mother's side. Noble consort Xiao was afraid that her heart and liver would be damaged. She wanted to kill someone even if his son lost a strand of hair. Mother. One haven't returned to the residence for a long time, and the materials for writing the book are still in the residence. I'll take these materials and stay at my cousin's place for a while. The scenery of Chiline Garden is good. I will write some good books and let mother read them. Chu Jinling rubbed noble consort Xiao's hand against her face. Her coquettish voice almost melted noble consort Xiao's heart. Noble consort Xiao nodded helplessly. All right, I'll do as you say. You can change your residence and relieve your boredom. Before she let Chu Jinling go, she reminded him cautiously. Su Yingxue, I've handed my son and nephew over to you. If anything goes wrong, I won't forgive you. Su Yingxue smiled bitterly. Yes, noble consort. Great. As a woman, she had to protect two men. She glanced at Chu Jinling, who was tall and slender, and shook her head. I can't afford to offend him. I can't afford to offend him. Just as she was about to leave, she suddenly remembered that she had left Su Miaoyan in the Empress Palace and her face instantly turned pale. Not in front of noble consort Xiao, Chu Jinling called out to her in a relaxed manner. Aunt Su, what's wrong? My sister, she's still in the Empress Palace. This unlucky child, he really shouldn't have brought her out today. Chu Jinling brought her to the side hall where Xiao Yu was lying. He pointed to a little girl beside Xiao Yu's bed and asked, Is that your sister? Miaoyan. Su Yingxue quickly rushed in and pulled Su Miaoyan up to look at her left and right. Fortunately, there was no damage. Su Miaoyan threw herself into Su Yingxue's arms, her soft voice carrying a trace of guilt. Sister, I've implicated you and brother. I'm sorry. Brother saved me. Xiao Yu. Su Yingxue's eyes were filled with confusion. Chu Jinling remembered and said. Before this, when cousin woke up, he said something to Xiao Sai. After that, mother sent someone to the Empress Palace and brought your sister back. I think it was cousin's orders when he woke up. Young Master Xiao is very thoughtful. Su Yingxue sighed softly. Chapter 634, Retribution of Fengzao Palace. If Xiao Yu hadn't remembered to remind Xiao Sai, she would have felt guilty for the rest of her life if she couldn't save Su Miaoyan when she rushed to the Empress Palace. Sister, can you save brother? Will he be okay? Su Miaoyan had a blind admiration for Su Yingxue, and in her heart, she prayed fervently, Xiao Yu, please, please. Please don't let anything happen. He was such a good and handsome brother. Su Yingxue rubbed her head. Sister will cure him, your handsome brother. When Su Yingxue said this, she didn't think about why Xiao Yu would especially save Su Miaoyan. Su Miaoyan also hid her gratitude and joy very well. Xiao Yu was carefully carried out of the palace in a sedan chair. When Su Yingxue passed by Fengzao Palace, she stopped for a moment. Chu Jinling winked at her considerately. Auntie, how do you want to teach the Empress a lesson? Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows at him tacitly. Do you want to come together? Of course, Chu Jinling didn't mind causing trouble for the Empress. After all, This was also a chance for his mother to vent her anger. Su Yingxue took out a bottle of medicinal powder and sprinkled it on Chu Jinling's body. Chu Jinling went in to greet the empress and also met Chu Changye. When he came out, he smiled smugly at Su Yingxue. It's done. Su Yingxue followed him out of the palace and sat in the carriage. Chu Jinling ate the medicine that Su Yingxue handed over. He asked curiously, "What effect does the powder on my body have?" The corners of Su Yingxue's mouth curled up coldly. The Empress Palace uses an extremely thick ambergris. You apply it to the powder on your body. I added a few medicines to counter the ambergris. In Fengzao Palace, the Empress was happy that her plan had succeeded today, but she suddenly began to sneeze violently one after another. Achoo! Achoo! She was not the only one. Liu Fu, who was serving her closely, also began to sneeze crazily. A few of them faced the Empress and sprayed snot all over her. The Empress was furious. Liu Fu, you bastard. Do you want to die? Achoo! Chu Changye sneezed non-stop with them. Fengzao Palace had been very noisy in the first half of the night. By the second half of the night, everyone in the palace had started to have nightmares. They were all howling and screaming when they didn't sleep. Some even grabbed people and strangled them. The Empress was almost strangled to death. Chu Changye barely managed to protect the Empress, but he provoked Chu Mingyuan. Chu Mingyuan was pushed down by a palace servant and executed on the spot. He went to see the Empress and was scratched by her. He was so angry that he slapped the Empress and punished the people of Fengzao Palace. They were all confined in the palace and could not leave without permission. When noble consort Xiao heard about Fengzao Palace, she couldn't stop smiling. Granny Song went to investigate and reported to her. Your Highness, it must be Miss Su who did it. Before she left the palace with Your Highness, she asked Your Highness to pay his respects to the Empress Palace. Not long after they left, Fengzao Palace was in chaos. Noble consort Xiao gently pressed the expensive skincare lotion on her face and her red lips curled up slightly. What a vengeful Su Yingxue. She had guts. The Empress insists on going against her. In waiting to see how she will be strangled to death by Su Yingxue. After leaving the palace, Su Yingxue was chased to the 9th Prince's mansion by Chu Jinling. Xiao Yu and Su Miaoyan, he helped her send them off one by one, so she didn't need to worry about them. Su Yingxue did not have anything to worry about him. Chu Jinling looked like he was not good at literature or martial arts, but his brain was the best. At this moment, the Empress did not have the time to deal with him. However, when she asked Chu Jinling why he did that, a hint of sorrow instantly appeared on Chu Jinling's face. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.